Yo, 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 what's going on, good people? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today, I'm going to be coming at you guys with an update for my ORCUST deck profile. So this list in particular, I've done a lot of tweaking and experimentation with this deck. What I decided to go with was the approach. So this approach that I decided to go with ever since I started playing the deck was the mathematical approach, trying to make the deck as mathematically perfect as possible, trying to figure out the proper ratios and percentages of cards, following specific algorithms, and basically detailing and refining every intricacy about the deck, learning how to play with my bad hands, and kind of just critiquing and finessing everything about the deck to make it exponentially better than what it already was. So what I wanted to do was focus on the weaknesses of the deck and mitigate that, and while simultaneously incorporating minuscule cards here and there that would enhance the consistency, elevate the ceiling of the deck, and overall, in the long story short, make the strengths also boost the strengths of the deck. So what I have here today is probably one of the most perfect lists so far out of all the variants that I've done. When I originally first built this deck, it was more of a danger deck than anything. I played 27 dangers and the beginning of the ends and other cards like that. Slowly but surely, the deck started evolving, and I kind of just adapted. And also, my teammate Pankratops had inspired me to play Neospace Connectors, and that card really just it's just changed the deck. So this list in particular, and just in general since I've been playing ORCUST, I've been undefeated at my locals ever since I started playing ORCUST, and before that it was like with Prank Kids. And then I took this to San Antonio Regionals. My record was X2-1, 2 draws and 1 loss. And then I took this to the 1K tournament in Katy. It was a tournament basically for $1,000, and I was undefeated. I was the only undefeated in the room. And it's not to say, oh, look at me or anything like that. It's just that I wanted to say that because this deck has proven itself, and I was absolutely astonished by its performance and how really well this deck functions against a lot of the best meta decks, and really good against rogue decks. Just in general, this deck all across the playing field is really redundant, and I mean like stupid in a bad way. Like, this deck is so powerful, typically when you play against this deck, you have to open very specific hand traps or it's going to be really hard. So yeah, I'm going to hop into my list without further rambling, you guys. We're going to show main, side, and extra. Side deck has changed, and we were doing some mind games, like we were... but yeah, we'll get into that when we get into the profile. So we're going to start off with basically my enablers. As far as normal summons go, I play 3 copies of Ibli. So one thing is, a lot of people tell me that this card's bad. They're like, it's Salamander Great format. People can use this to make a 1-card mermaid in the ORCUST matchup. So a lot of people are like, oh, Ibli's bad, you shouldn't play it. I say to each his own. You don't want to play Ibli, don't play Ibli. That's fine. This card has literally dominated so many of my Sky Striker matchups, and specifically against Danger Thunders. There have been times where I've just broke the board, systematically picked it apart, and just left a Skull Dread and dropped an Ibli on my opponent's field, sent the Skull Dread away off of Longaritsu, and just kept Orcustron up and was just waiting for my opponent to top deck, literally with an Ibli. So even if he top decked the Hawk or anything good, he'd have to do something with the Ibli first before he could even play Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is insane. This card is ridiculously powerful in the Sky Striker matchup, just literally giving her to your opponent. They can't use their Sky Striker cards, so their other back row has to not be Sky Strikers, or they can't interact with you at all. In addition to this card chain blocking for your mermaid, cards that this card plays around are as follows: Dino Wrestler, Pankratops, Kaijus, and also Evenly Matched. So if you guys think this card is bad, I want you to rethink it and actually play it for yourself before you just write it off as a bad card just because you think that people can make plays off the Ibli you give them. Outside of those matchups where somebody could quote generate advantage off this card, you literally play around all those side deck staples. Everybody plays Kaijus, everybody plays Pankratops. A lot of people are playing Evenly Matched, even though some people don't. In addition to the chain blocking, this card revives your Phoenix and your Rusty in late game. Can I tell you about times where I've just normaled her, brought back Rusty Bardiche from my graveyard, his effects are negated so he can be used as link material, turned him into a bomber, used her effect to summon her to Bomber Zone, and literally Raigeki my opponent's field with Bomber, all because of one Ibli. So yeah, I mean, dude, I can talk all day about this card, but it's absolutely insane. I would never cut it. You can hate on my Iblis if you want, but this card has won me more games than it's lost me. Next up, we have 3 copies of Neospace Connector. Connector is another way for you to start your combo. Similar to Ibly, it does play around certain hand traps. Now, the drawback with Ibly is even though you're able to resolve Mermaid, your opponent can still just Ash your Nightmare. But in general, what it does, Ibly does give you is the ability to make Galatea, banish your Nightmare for cost, and when they Ash Blossom it, you can still play through that hand trap using Galatea to either get your Einsets, which nobody plays, or just get the draw 2 and see if you could dig for an extender so that you can make your Rusty and just go for an Azathoth because you got hand trapped. So Neospace Connector also dominates in time, as we all know. It is a 1-card combo, and information is quite imperative. I have sniped Dino Wrestler Pankratops off of my opponent's hand because I had Bigfoot on the field. I have literally sniped Radiant Kaijus. I recall sniping Rays. I recall sniping DD Crows, just like so many cards. And also, this card also forces your opponent to use a hand trap on it, because if they don't, you're going to take it from them anyway. So this card is really, really dominant. It's powerful. And shout out to my teammate Pankratops. He who sits on Pankratops is his name. It's a meme. We gave him that nickname. He's the one who told me to play this because he's a Dark Warrior player, and he's like, why don't you play this? I was like, dude, why didn't I play this? This is the question. So then we have 1 copy of Dark Refer. 1 copy of Armageddonite. These are your 1.5 card combos. This card is not essentially full combo, but just dumping Heart Pour really helps. The thing is, the game plan for Orcus is to make Galatea before you resolve any Orcus monster's effects. A lot of people think that Mermaid is the only route, and I beg, like, I absolutely just, I counter that argument. Like, I beg to differ. In fact, essentially, when there are times where I just summon the Danger and normal summon Heart Pourer and make Galatea, that is the full combo. The game plan is to make Galatea first and then use your Orcus after she's been established on the field. So Armageddonite can't necessarily do that because if you're just playing with just him self-contained as a 1-card combo, he's not going to get you the full combo. Dark Refer can essentially because he basically allows you to extend by dropping one of your high-level cards to special him. Then you can then discard an Orcus in your hand to send another one. Or if you didn't need to, you could just discard anything and just dump the next good card that you have. Then you normal summon, then you can do the combo. And that gives you a bit of resiliency because if your opponent Veilers or Ash Blossoms your Mermaid, then you can just use the Orcus that you sent off of your Dark Refer. So he essentially can be the full combo. I still play both of them because they are very high selling cards. They are problem solvers and they make the deck exponentially better just by having access to them. We also played a pair of Phantom Knights. Originally, so that you guys don't think that I'm one of those people that play the bare minimum Phantom Knights, my original list played 6 Phantom Knights. That's more than any Orcus player is playing right now. 4? No, I was playing 6. I played 2 of each of the good ones. I played 2 boots, 2 cloak, and 2 gloves. Look it up in my original Orcus deck. And I also played triple Fogblade. So I have played a lot of Phantom Knight cards. But what I ended up coming to the conclusion was I had to cut 9 Dangers out of my deck. I had to take out 4 Phantom Knights. I had to take out 2 Fogblades. I had to take out the beginning of the ends. There's so much changes that this deck has went through for the better. So I sacrificed what I wanted for what I need. This is all you need for the plays that I'm particularly trying to make. You can play more Phantom Knights because control with Phantom Knights is good, but my main issue is Dinko Sekka is very prevalent, and when you're trying to play Rusty Barty's control, the issue is now Dinko Sekka just really could dominate you when Dinko Sekka's not even supposed to be good against this deck in the first place. But anyways, these are your one-ups. And to finish the one-ups, for just these are like normal summon enablers. Dolphin. Dolphin is insane, you guys. Like, time getting called because my opponent took like a 5-minute turn and I had like 30 seconds essentially for my turn. Just Dolphin just really helped me. I was like, thank God. Oh man, that card is amazing. And just information, when you know games 2 and 3, when you understand what your opponent has side decked and you know what's in their hand, it helps you to better assert yourself, progressing your combo so that you understand that maybe what I did game 1 is not going to cut it because he's prepared. And Orcus are very agile and versatile, and they don't put up the same board every time. So because this deck basically has a 1-card combo that I've developed 9 different algorithms that I can follow for that 1-card combo, I essentially have a board that I can know for my Danger Thunder Dragon matchup, a board for Sky Strikers, a board for Soundman Greats, a board for the Mirror match. I have a board for Rogue decks. I have a board for Dracos, Guru, Evil Eye, any decks like that. There's so many different ways that you can end your board. It's crazy. It's this deck is really ridiculous. So yeah, that's that. And now for the actual Orcus, So we're playing 3 copies of Harp Horror. 3, yes. So people are going to say I'm crazy. Oh, no, it's a brick. 3 Nightmare. This card is actually never a brick for me. I've never actually bricked with this deck. It is mathematically, not only is it mathematically incorrect for me to brick with this deck, but it's literally never happened. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not hyping myself up. I'm not trying to brag. I've literally never bricked with this deck. There's never been a time where I could not go for my combo. There's never been a time where I just didn't have 2 monsters on the field. Like, it always happens. So with having an Orcust in your hand, essentially when you make your mermaid and your opponent hand traps it, because they always do that. Some people are smart and they save the Ash for the Harp Horror. That's fine. There's a lot of ways you can play around that, especially when you have a Nightmare in your hand, essentially. But when you pay cost for Mermaid and discard this for cost, it gets you further than where you would have been just having a Mermaid and having the pass turn. Also, having Harp Horror in your hand, like essentially summoning 2 dangers, linking them off into Phoenix, and then the Mermaid, paying cost for Mermaid, they Veiler it. Don't ever, if you have Harp Horror left in your hand, don't ever discard the Harp Horror for cost. Let them Veiler your Mermaid, normal your Harp Horror, make Galatea, and that is the full combo without any breaks. So yeah, 3 Nightmares. I'm not going to cut it because I love opening Orcust monsters. I really like the Orcust. Contrary to what haters might say about my deck, saying this is not an Orcust deck, it's this, that, and the third. Essentially, everything that's not Orcust in my deck is here to get to the Orcusts. No matter what hand I start with, my ending board will always have Orcust Link monsters because I think every single one of the Orcust Link monsters are incredible, and I don't see any of the good players playing any Links outside of Galatea. I play all of them, so I do respect Orcust as a deck, and I actually love their synergy, their grind game capabilities, and the sheer mechanic of how they play. We also have 1 Skeletor, He-Man, you know, 1 Brass Bombard, and 1 copy of World Wand. So you have the 9. I played this card at 2 in the past. I really didn't like opening it at all, and this card just loves me. I was drawing it too much, and when you get hand trapped and you like discard this for cost, it doesn't do anything for your combo. If you normal this and make Galatea, still doesn't do anything for your combo, because now you literally have to have an extender like a danger to like make Rusty with Galatea, then use this to bring her back, and then try to push through that awkward hand. So I just felt that these were the perfect one-ups. Brass Bombard still isn't being played in a lot of Orcust deck aren't playing this, but I think that this allows you to do a lot more plays, and it also acts as an extender. In addition to that, it makes your board load Savage Dragon, which is how you counter evenly matched and you know, Twin Twisters, etc. I've been going for the typical board that I end on. If I open with the Harp Horror plus the combo without if I can make Mermaid without normal summoning and I have Harp Horror in hand, not only can I play through 1 hand trap, but I also can end on Decode Talker, being able to resolve Decode Talker 4 times, need I mind you, 4 times. You have Borload Savage Dragon, so you put Borload Savage Dragon in Summon Sork's zone, then you jump zones with Summon Sork, Boots, and the other that you summon from the Banish Zone. You turn those into Decode. You have Decode Rusty, you put the Azathoth there, and you literally stand by Nightmare Special Harp Horror to Decode Zone. As soon as Decode tributes Harp Horror gets this. You tribute this, and then this brings back Galatea. You tribute that. That's 3, but then the Fog Blade brings back the it's 4 because Rusty is already there, so you tribute that for Decode. And if you have a Fog Blade, you get 5 negates with Decode plus the Borlo Savage. So it essentially makes your Azathoth that much more powerful because your opponent can't Pancratops or Twin Twister you. They have to Kaiju you, and if they Kaiju your Time Thief Redoer, you still have tons of interruptions, which is really strong. So yeah. The Orcust cards are really formidable, and I like them a lot, you guys. This deck has really done well for me. A lot of people forget that this card can't be destroyed by battle with Links, which really comes up a lot, especially in the Salamangreat matchup, because really their heavy hitters are the Link monsters, and nobody's ever been able to drop the fusion on me. So for the dangers, which is the part that everybody's going to hate, people just... I mean, I get it. There's a lot of danger crybabies, but we have 3 copies of Nessie. So the dangers are the beneficial accrutement of my deck because not only are they enablers, but if I open a hand full of dangers, I get access to my Orcust and my Phantom Knights. I get access to my entire engine of my deck just by having dangers. So they're like starters, enablers, extenders, follow-ups. They allow me to search out for problematic cards. Bigfoot and Thunderbird are just crazy good. I play them at like high ratios. We have 3 Nessies, 3 Jackalopes, and we also have 3 Tsuchinokos, 3 Chupacabra because I do play a lot of dangers. And Chupacabra, I like them a lot, especially when you're going for your kill, because bringing back a Bigfoot from Graveyard is just really good. Just Bigfoot Borosword is just 9,000 damage without even using Borosword's effect to gain attack. Then we have 3 copies of Bigfoot. I can tell you so many stories about Bigfoot just killing There Can Only Be Ones. Summon limits, just forcing Ray to come out of the graveyard, and then they try to bring out Kaina, but we as soon as we see Ray, we make Decode. We put monsters here, and then we turn all our other resources into Decode, and the second we summon him, he's already pointing to 2. So we're ready for the Kaina. We negate the Kaina if they use it, and they're dead. But Bigfoot's insane, you guys. Also, Thunderbird is really dominant in the Salamangreat matchup and the Sky Striker matchup. They set a ton of cards. Oftentimes, their cards aren't reactive to the point where if you try to pop them, they could chain them, especially Sky Strikers. And this typically baits Roars and Rages, etc. Because when you're popping it, they have to chain it or they miss their opportunity. And then 1 Mothman. I used to play 3 Dogman, 3 Ogos, and then 3 Mothman. I cut the Dogs, I cut the Ogos, I cut the Mothmans down. And I cut Thunderbird down to 2. I was going to play 3 Thunderbirds and just have it that way. But I really like the option for Mothman, essentially, because he's a level 4 18 body. And having access to level 4s in this deck, just hard drawing, free summonable level 4s is really good. Like just being able to make that play without relying on Rusty Barty's, just going straight for Redoer, because Redoer is insane. It's really, really helpful. So I still like the 1 Mothman. And helping you to draw into your side deck cards really helps. Oftentimes, I'm really cognizant of what my opponent is playing, and so I'm very, very cautious on whether or not I resolve Mothman. But if I see value in it, I resolve it. And then I do play 3 Ash Blossoms. So a lot of people really don't expect to see hand traps in my deck because I play a lot of dangers. And there is a chance that your dangers can discard this. So this is the main reason why people expect for me to not play hand traps, and they get punished for it because they typically don't play around Ash Blossom because they don't think that I have it. So a lot of people don't play as cautious or as, I guess you could say, as smart as they normally do when they're playing against me. And I've punished a lot of people for not thinking that I play hand traps. I actually think it's a smart choice, but you can argue it however you want. Next up for our spells, we're playing 3 copies of Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. So I had ideas for as far as baiting out Ash, because I can't play Call By in the 60 card deck. It's just not effective enough for me personally. I just don't like playing Call By in 60 card decks. But what Engage does is what I was trying to do with the Salamangreat. So originally I was doing 3 Gazelles and 1 Spinny and 3 of that Salamangreat Circle, because essentially what I wanted was a 1-card combo that can still do my full plays for the Orcus aspect of my deck, but I also wanted it to be good Ash Blossom bait, and I knew that if I resolved the circle to search a Gazelle and summon a Gazelle and committed my normal summon to that Gazelle, my opponent would Ash Blossom it or Valor it. So I wanted a card that would not only throw my opponent off and make them think I'm playing another deck, but it would also bait a hand trap. So I was getting really inventive with the Salamangreat portion, and it was crazy because it was going to become Salamangreat Orcus with just the Gazelle and the Spinny, because that's the full combo for Orcus. But I realized that I was wasting my normal summon, which essentially forced me to have a danger in hand on standby. Otherwise, I can't do the full combo. But with Engage, not only is it really good Ash bait, but it's not once per turn. It searches outs. Like, there have been times when I've had to use this on Goliaths and also on Sloths, preventing me from going into my X deck, and other times where people just Ash Blossomed it. Like, it's Ash bait that I don't have to waste my normal summon on. It's not once per turn. It gives me draw power, and it's a 1-card combo by itself. So yeah, Engage is really good in my deck. 3 Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness and Engage, especially going in the games 2 and 3, allow you to really get quicker access to your side deck cards because of the draw power they provide. And I don't know, I'm just like really blessed with my Engages, because every time I draw them with other spells. And in conjunction, Engage with just 2 spells allows you to resolve Engage again because you Hornet Drones, and that's a 3rd spell in your grave. Then when you get the Engage back off of Kogara, you just get a Widow Anchor and then you draw, and it's really good for me personally. 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Foolish Burial, and then this is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. This is the Holy Trinity right here for Orcus, essentially, what you want to call it. So Rhoda and Foolish are probably the highest ceiling 1-ofs in my deck. Honestly, they really are. I mean, like, this is a good 1-of too, but these are the highest ceiling. This can allow me to snipe cards out of my opponent's hand. And a cool thing with playing Dangers that you guys should know with Connector is I do this a lot. So typically what happened a lot at the 1K tourney and at San Antonio was my opponent DD crowed my Heart Pour. Like, I for example, like, there's a time I Foolish Burial my Heart Pour. My opponent DD crowed it. Then I normaled Connector, got out Dolphin, and then I ripped out another card out of my opponent's hand. Like, for that instance, I ripped out the I think it was the Spinny, I believe, which was kind of bad because it belongs in the grave. But I ripped it out because it was the next best card. Then I made Phoenix with the Danger, Tributed Connector, brought Dolphin back, and then ripped another card. So essentially, you can 2-card hand loop just with the Rhoda. If you open Rhoda plus Extender, you can rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. And the reason why you can rip any monsters, essentially, and it's only monsters, of course, is because you play the Dangers. You have access to cards like Bigfoot through Nessie, Jackalope, and Bigfoot itself, and he's 3,000. So there's very few monsters that you won't be able to take from your opponent's hand because Bigfoot is 3,000. And so you can rip their combo pieces out. So when I don't see hand traps, I get really aggressive and I go after their combo pieces. I start taking out the Rays. I start taking out their Nessies, and I'm destroying it, not discarding it so it doesn't get its effect. I start taking out Levianeers. Like I've seen Levianeer before with the Bigfoot. I destroyed that because Bigfoot's attack 3,000, so is Levianeer. Like, it's just really strong. Just ripping 2 cards out of your opponent's hand before you even start your combo is just GG no re. So yeah, these are like the high ceiling one-ups. So Orchestrated Einsatz is a really good card that I don't see any good players that are running Orcus. I don't see them playing it. I've caught so many people off guard with this. This is a really good setup too with Babel and Einsatz. You can grind for so long. Like, it screams, please Twin Twist for me because I'm just generating so much advantage off of you. I'm not even making these plays. You're giving me these resources. This card literally says if your opponent plays Yu-Gi-Oh, you get to generate advantage. Like, it's really good. It allows you to keep up when you're behind, and this is why this deck can grind. Most Orcus decks can't grind that long, but mine can grind for a very long time. I like, especially because I played a vast majority Sky Strikers at San Antonio, and at the 1K event, I played 3 Sky Strikers. It was just, it's so good. This card is really, really strong. And other one-ups are Widow Anchor and also the rank up spell. So Widow Anchor has been really good for me because in my low resource games, when I just got hand trapped way too much for comfort, I would just have Bomber Dragon, I would have Fog Blade, and Widow Anchor. And it's just like to dominate the combo decks. If you're playing Sky Strikers, you would just keep the Fog Blade and the Widow Anchor and just leave Trishbania up. And so you're allowed to play around their back rows, and for Bomber, you're just Raigeki their field, and you can just Widow Anchor their combo pieces, take it away from them, Fog Blade, negate their stuff. So like, it's just so good, especially going second when you're able to get 3 spells in grave. This baits out Roar because you're going to take their link away. It's really, really good, you guys. So those are the spells. For traps, I do play 3 impermanents. People say it conflicts with this. I'm actually going to bump this up to 2 or 3. Because hard drawing this going second is insane. Like, making Rusty Bardiche and Time Thief Redoer going second is just crazy. Just pop and then spin a card back and just go so aggro. It's just really good. I like this card a lot. It's never a brick. It just lets you go full combo if you open it. And it also just lets you make Redoer going second. Just making Redoer just without even having to use your World Wand is really powerful. And the impermanences are here because game 1, if I play against a Floodgate deck and I lose a dice roll, impermanence is one of my only chances that I have to turn off a There Can Only Be One or turn off a summon limit and stuff like that. Like, my deck plays very well around There Can Only Be One. Like, I remember this funny play, somebody called it a Haikyuu play, where I normaled Ash Blossom after I had Mothman. I had Mothman Phantasme that I dropped on my opponent's turn. He was a Sky Striker player. Then I normaled Ash Blossom, made Trishbania, discarded Bigfoot, summoned Grefford, triggered Trishbania, and popped his Shizuku. And I had Hate-Trunated him, tried to Hate-Trunate him twice. It kind of sucked. I just resolved the engage. I did the full combo using Hornet Drones and Trishbania to turn it into Phoenix. It was crazy. But yeah, like, you really just, this is mainly for the Floodgates, and this is including being able to out Goliath, or just being able to bait the negation that they would have off of Hot Red or off of Zombie Stein. Colossus doesn't hurt my deck because Engage is like my only searcher technically, and I don't even need it, and I side it out in those matchups anyways. And then the one Fog Blade. It's really important to still play at least one, not because it can negate, but also because it can save your life. If they go into battle phase, you can flip this on one of your weakest or biggest monsters, whichever one you don't want to die, and it won't be able to be targeted for attacks. It can save your life, it could buy you a turn, and it just has great graveyard effect. So that's the main deck. It's 60 cards. Now, for my extra deck, I play 1 Galatea, 1 Longeritsu, and 1 Orcustron. These are like the bread and butter of my deck, honestly. These are the best cards in my extra deck. The Orcus Link monsters are insane. With the field spell, they're just nuts. This guy's just skill drain on legs. You can use him in damage step. He makes all your opponents' attack and defense 0. At San Antonio, I had witnessed this. Even subscribers of mine watching me break a established Thunder Dragon board with only 3 cards in my hand. And he had both Colossus, Crystal Wing, and he had the He had Colossus Crystal Wing, and he had the Phantasme that he brought out off of Eclipse Wyvern, and then like Special Day from hand. It's like I just broke that board with 3 cards. Like normal and Arma, he negated it with Crystal Wing. It's like, all right, cool, Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial, Reveal Jackalope. It was crazy, dude. It was like so crazy. And the main reason why I was able to break that board is because of Orcustrion. I link climbed up into him and used his effect to negate all their cards and make it 0. And I was able to just kill everything but Skull Dread and just left it like that. This card is so powerful. I don't know why ORCUST players don't play this, and I don't know why ORCUST players don't play this. These linked cards also have protection. He can't be destroyed by card effects. He cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And this guy can send any linked monster your opponent controls to the grave. The beauty of these cards is they work around your opponent's linked monsters, and you can force them to be linked by making them point at your opponent's monsters. That is why Konami made the ORCUST with these arrows, to use and capitalize off of their own effects. And Galatea can't be destroyed by battle. So yeah, these are the best cards in my extra deck, you guys. Like, so insane. Like, this deck is really good against Thunder Dragons. I don't even side deck against them at all. I don't even side Lancius for them. I don't side Lancius for ORCUST either. Like, mirror matches are really fun for me and challenging, and I figured out one of the best ways to beat them without even side decking. It's a secret, but we haven't lost a mirror match. We have Deco Talker, Rusty, Summon Sork, and Trishbania for our Link 3s. This card is nuts, especially because you can trigger it on your opponent's turn. And going second, this is one of the greatest feelings ever. Off the ORCUST combo and you're going second, you can resolve Trishbania and Bomber. You essentially clear their entire field, banish all back rows, then destroy all monsters. And neither one of them are once per turn. So if you need to resolve them again, you can. But the Topologics are like one of the best plays that you can make in ORCUST. And ORCUST make these like nobody's business. This is really good for Sky Strikers. It's really good against the Dangerous Thunder Dragons because they just drop Zombie Stein and also the Hot Red Dragon, and you could just negate both of them. Like going second against them, I make sure I put monsters in zone number 3 and 1 or 5, and then I summon my decode where he's already pointed to 2, so I can negate both their cards in the same chain. And Summon Sork and Rusty are just part of every one of your combos. Then we have Boresword, easily just going for game with this card. I make it almost every single duel. Even going second, like this deck makes it really easily. And then the Nightmares and the Kagari for the Hornet Drones that I play. And then Azathoth and Redoer. Redoer by itself, sometimes like when I know that Azathoth's not good, like for Sky Strikers, I just keep my Redoer. I don't make Azathoth until the time comes. I'll keep the rank up because I want the interaction where I can get the pop off of Rusty and stop Ray from Grave, so that way I can go for the kill and not have to worry about Kaina. But just grinding against them with this, taking their spells, getting draws. You get a draw on... You get standby, take a spell, you draw 1 card. So that's 1 card you get. Your standby, you take a spell, you draw another card. So you got 3 cards in circulation before your next turn. It's really good. Redoer is insane. And then Borlo Savage Dragon. You make it because you play Brass Bombard. If you don't play Brass Bombard, you have to make him in weird ways. The side deck is 3 Phantasmes. This card is universally good against a lot of decks. But really, because my deck has really not lost against combo decks like ORCUST and Danger Thunder, I wanted my side deck to be purely for Salamangreats and Strikers. So we have 3 Pancratops for the Floodgates and for the back rows, enforcing the activations of cards they don't want to use yet. 3 Denkos in Auto Win. And the card that really overperformed the most that a lot of people weren't expecting because nobody's really playing it is Hey Trunade. Hey Trunade against Salamangreats. Baiting roars easily, but also I learned a lot of Salamangreat players, even the best ones that I've met, use Rage on me on purpose. And the reason why is because they saved the Rage. Like somebody used the Rage on me where I had Summon Sork and Galatea and just stopped my entire turn essentially and got to kill me the next turn, and we had to go to game 3. And I started realizing more and more that they play Rage over Roar because 1 negate doesn't hurt my deck. So Hey Trunade just bounces everything in that matchup if they're smart. And if not, you can either bait the Roar or just, if you're confident enough, use this to bait the Roar, make the Roar activate, preemptively negating this. And if not, you bait the Roar and then you activate this, get rid of their back row. Now they just have only hand traps. They have to use their hand traps to protect them or they die. For Sky Strikers, there's nothing they can do to interact with this card. It just happens. It's crazy. Like, so another thing cool with Sky Strikers is I sight these in, games 2 and 3, I sight these in when I go first. Because I know that they can't kill me in 1 turn, especially because of the resiliency I get off of my engine. The Orcus just carry me so far that I'll sight this in. Even if I drew it for turn, I know that guaranteed they can't kill me. So next turn, I just draw for turn. It doesn't matter what I draw. I normal Denko and I go for the kill. So I've been getting really smart with this card. It's insane, this format. And then 3 reboots. This is mainly for Salamangreats and Sky Strikers side in. There can only be 1s and summon limits. And it's for Rogue also, like Guru, Control, and Evil Eye, and Draco, and Trick Stars too. So yeah, that is my complete deck profile, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for being patient for those of you who actually sat here and watched it. I go really in-depth with these profiles, and I really like this deck a lot. So thank you guys so much for watching it. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you folks have a beautiful day. If you're going to Houston Regionals, be expecting me there. I'm going to be playing Hell to Perfection. And before I end the video, I'll explain to you guys what I did for the Mind Games. So at San Antonio Regionals, I pretended to be a Sky Striker player. I really did. I pretended very good too. So like I was activating Engage Insane out loud, but not too out loud. I was like, all right, so we grab Ray, we normal Ray, we grab Quick Guard, we go for multi-roll, Ash Blossom. Oh, all right, okay, that's fine. But one of the best mind games that I did, that this actually is self-contained for my team. Like I told everybody in my team to start doing this, and nobody really does this. People know the trick where you pretend to side, you put all 15 in and take them out. Like that's an old trick. And we also know the trick where we pretend to side for going second and keep going first. But what I was getting people with all day is when I wanted to go first, but I wanted my opponent to think I'm going second and they keep their engine cards in for going first, is I would take my side deck cards and start shuffling, and then I would drop it evenly on purpose, but like in a really slick way. I'd drop it and be like, oh, and then I would shuffle it right into my deck right then and there, that very moment. And they saw that I had an evenly in my deck, immediately changed their game plan. It was like, he's going second. And then they're like, who goes first? I was like, I go first. And it just threw them off because they had like, there can only be ones and summon limits and all kinds of floodgates that they thought were going to stop me from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're dead. Like, and it happens so much. Like, and one dude was like, so why'd you side evenly for going first? And I said, I'm not telling you. But yeah, that's just like some of the mind games I was using. Really, what I was trying to do was outsmart my opponent, and it worked. Like, it's just some really good advice I want to share with you guys. And no, this idea didn't come from anybody. This is actually my own idea, and it's between teammates basically. So yeah, thank you guys again. You guys have a beautiful day. Stay positive, stay encouraged, peace, love, blessings, and definitely in abundance. All right, peace.